You were born in the silent dark. No mother's arms held you, only the cold hum of life support. The medical bay was sterile white. It was a stark contrast to your eyes. They were not blue or brown or green. They were deep space itself, swirling nebulas of purple and gold, pinpricks of light like newborn stars. The doctor who delivered you dropped his tools. They clattered on the sanitized floor. He was a man of science and data. He had no data for this. He stared into your infant eyes. He felt like he was falling into eternity. He saw galaxies being born. He saw star systems dying. It was beautiful and deeply terrifying. He whispered a single word. Gods. The nurses heard it. The word spread like a virus through the station. They called you the Void Child, the girl with Novus in her gaze. You did not cry with sound. You cried with light. When you were hungry, the stars in your eyes would flare, tiny supernovas in an ocean of night. They learned to read your silent language. A soft pulse meant you were content. A bright flash meant you needed care. They fed you nutrient paste. It was as bland as the walls around you. You lived in a bubble of quiet observation. Your only toys were the star charts projected on the ceiling. You would trace the constellations with your tiny finger. It felt like looking at a family portrait. You felt a kinship with their distant fire. They were your silent companions. The whispers grew louder over the years. They traveled through the station's vents. They echoed in the mess hall chatter. You were an omen, a living prophecy. Some said you were a curse, a black hole in human form destined to swallow the sun. They feared you would one day blink and erase everything. Others saw you as a miracle, a bridge to the great unknown, a sign that humanity was part of something larger. It was a lot of pressure for a child, especially one who had never felt grass. Old spacers told stories around humming engine cores. They spoke of a prophecy etched in starlight. The starless would come from the void between galaxies, and a child with eyes of creation would show them the way. Most scientists dismissed it as superstitious nonsense, just another tall tale for long voyages. But they had never looked into your eyes. They had never seen the truth of the cosmos swirling there. They preferred their equations, their charts, their predictable and safe reality. You grew up with these whispers as your only friends. You learned to read from data pads, history, physics, star science. You absorbed it all with an unnatural speed. But you never learned to speak. You had no one to speak to. Your world was the observation deck, a vast window looking out at Earth. It was a beautiful blue and white marble, so close, yet impossibly far. You would press your hand against the cold glass. You wondered what rain felt like. You wondered about the warmth of a real sun. The stars in your eyes seemed to dim with longing, a quiet sadness in your personal cosmos. Sometimes you felt you were not a girl at all. You were a telescope with a heartbeat, a biological instrument, a curiosity to be monitored. The scientists would run their scans. They would measure the light from your eyes. They treated you like a newly discovered pulsar. Interesting, potentially dangerous, but not a person. You yearned for a connection, something more than a reflection in the void. The day it happened began like any other. You were 17 years old. You sat by the window, watching the orbital traffic. Shuttles zipped by like busy insects. Haulers lumbered toward the orbital elevators. It was a normal day for humanity. Then the alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the station corridors. They bathed everything in a nervous glow. The alert was not for a hull breach. It was not for a solar flare. It was the signal for first contact. Protocol 0. Everyone rushed to their posts. Their practiced movements were sharp with fear. The station commander's voice was tense over the comms. He spoke of an object moving out of a fold in space. It was not human. It was not from the Sol system. It was something entirely new. You felt a pull, a strange resonance deep in your chest. It was like a distant song you had forgotten. You floated from your room toward the main observation deck. The corridors were a blur of running figures. The crew was in a state of controlled panic. But they parted for you as you entered the bridge. They always parted for you. A mixture of fear and awe cleared your path. And then you saw it. The ship was a thing of impossible beauty. It looked like a shard of obsidian crystal, a piece of the night sky given form. It was kilometers long and utterly silent. It did not reflect the light of the sun. It seemed to drink it. It absorbed all energy that touched it. It drifted towards your station. It ignored all frantic hails from the commander. It ignored the defense platforms powering up around it. It seemed to have only one destination, one single purpose. It came not for Earth, not for humanity's technology. It came for you. You knew this with a certainty that chilled you. The ship stopped. Its bow pointed directly at your window, at your eyes. It felt like looking in a mirror, a vast and ancient mirror. Admiral Vance arrived on a priority shuttle. He was a legend in the Earth Defense Fleet, a man forged in the harsh Titan skirmishes. He had a face like a rocky asteroid field, full of craters and hard lines from a long life. But his eyes were surprisingly kind. He strode onto the observation deck like he owned it. The station commander briefed him quickly. The alien ship was unresponsive. High Command's orders were clear. Secure the asset. Prepare for hostile engagement. The asset was you. Vance looked at the alien vessel. It hung in space like a patient hunter. Then he looked at you. He walked over, ignoring the gasps from the nearby crew. He stood beside you at the vast window. He did not flinch from your gaze. He just looked into your star-filled eyes. He saw the galaxies swirling there. He saw the loneliness. Asset designation, Nebula. Is that right? He asked. His voice was a low rumble like a ship's engine. You simply nodded. Your gaze was fixed on the obsidian ship. High Command wants to move you to a bunker on Luna, he said. His tone was flat and factual. They think these visitors want to take you. He paused, his eyes scanning the alien design. They're probably right. Another pause. He was thinking, weighing options that could change human history. But they also think you are a weapon, a thing to be controlled. He finally turned to you. He saw the silent plea in your eyes, a plea for understanding, not containment. He made a decision, a choice that would echo through history. My orders are to hand you over to the science division, he stated. They want to pick you apart, metaphorically speaking, of course. He offered a small, grim smile. But I have a habit of misinterpreting orders, he added, especially bad ones. He turned to the comms officer. The young man looked terrified. Open a channel to that ship, Vance commanded. Tell them Admiral Vance of the EDF vessel Resilience wishes to talk. Humanity's fate was now in his hands. He had placed his bet, and you were the prize. The comms officer's hands trembled. Sir, they are not responding to any known frequency. Vance just nodded. Then we wait. The tension on the bridge was thick enough to cut. Minutes stretched into an hour. The alien ship remained a silent enigma, a monument to a technology far beyond human reach. Then, a transmission came through. It was not audio. It was not video. It was a complex stream of pure data. Mathematics, star charts, biological markers, your biological markers. They knew your genetic code. The station's top experts were baffled. It was a language of pure concept, beyond their comprehension. But you understood it. The data flowed into your mind like a familiar song, a language you had always known but never heard. It was the language of the stars themselves. You raised a hand. You pointed to the main screen. The text scrambled to give you control. Data streams appeared before you. You began to rearrange them with gestures. You were not typing. You were painting with information. You built a bridge between their language and ours. A single clear message appeared on the screen. "We have come for the star-eyed." Vance read it aloud. His voice was steady as stone. "Who are you?" he sent back, using your new translation matrix. The reply was almost instant. "We are the Xylos, the last children of the Cygnian Empire." The name meant nothing to humanity's historians. It was not in any database. "Your empire is not in our records," Vance replied. A fair point, he thought. Customer service was clearly not their strength. The Xylos sent back an image. It was a star map of a galaxy millions of light years away, a galaxy that was now dark and dead, a graveyard of 1,000,000,000,000 stars. It was consumed. The message read, "Our Empress was lost in the final battle, her essence scattered across the cosmos." Then another image filled the screen, a portrait of a woman of majestic beauty. She had kind eyes and a regal bearing, and her eyes held swirling nebulas. Her eyes were just like yours. "We have searched for 10,000 years." The message continued. "We have followed the faintest echoes of her light." The message became more personal, less like a report. "We see our long-dead Empress in you." The bridge crew stared in stunned silence. The prophecy of the old spacers, the child with eyes of creation. It was all real, and it was happening right now. You felt a wave of dizziness. An Empress? You had trouble even asking for a different flavor of nutrient paste. This revelation sent shockwaves through the station. An ancient, dead empire. A lost Empress reborn in a human girl? It was the stuff of myth, not military intelligence. High Command was screaming on a private channel to Vance. They called him a traitor, a fool. They ordered him to stand down immediately. He cut the connection. He was committed to this path. He believed the Xylos. More importantly, he believed in you. He saw a person, not an asset. "Empress," Vance said, testing the word. He said it with respect, but also a little humor. Quite a promotion for a girl from a medical bay. You almost smiled. A real smile. It felt strange on your face. It was the first time anyone had joked with you. The first time anyone had treated you like a person caught in a bizarre situation. It felt good. The Xylos sent another message. They seemed to sense the shift in the mood. Her sight was not just a mark of royalty. It was our guide, our wayfinder. They explained that your eyes were not just a reflection of space. They were a living map, a key to the star lanes, a network of safe passages through folded space, a cosmic highway system their empire had built, a network that was now lost to them. They needed you to navigate, to find a new home, to escape the thing that had destroyed their old one, the thing they called the swarm. You looked out the window. You focused on the star fields beyond the obsidian ship. You let your vision drift deeper, past the familiar constellations, past the Milky Way's bright core. And for the first time, you saw them. faint, shimmering lines of light. They connected distant stars like a spider's web, a web of impossible pathways, a hidden layer to reality. Your vision was a map. The old prophecies were true. And you were the cartographer. You had a purpose, a destiny far greater than a sterile room and a window. You were not a curiosity. You were a guide. Admiral Vance made his decision. He would escort you to a neutral point, a place to talk with the Xylos safely, away from the panic of high command. His ship, the Resilience, was a heavy cruiser. It was powerful and reliable. It undocked from the station with a gentle shudder. The Xylos ship followed at a respectful distance, a silent, dark guardian. The destination was a quiet sector in Jupiter's immense shadow, far from the prying eyes and panicked orders of Earth, a place for a calm conversation. But not all of humanity trusted you, or Vance. A faction led by a man named General Quaritch saw you as a threat, or worse, a prize to be won. Quaritch was a man who saw nails everywhere, and he was the only one with a hammer. He believed the Xylos were liars. He thought your eyes were a weapon, a biological anomaly to be studied and duplicated. He would not let that power fall into alien hands, or into the hands of a soft-hearted admiral like Vance. As your small convoy passed the orbit of Mars, they struck. 3 unmarked destroyers dropped out of stealth. They were human ships, repainted black, Coric's private fleet. They appeared suddenly, like sharks from the deep. "Admiral Vance," Coric's voice boomed over the comms. It was full of arrogance and certainty. "You are relieved of command by order of the Council. Surrender the anomaly." He did not even bother to use your name, just anomaly. Vance's response was short and to the point. "Go to hell, Quaritch." The black ships opened fire. Green lances of plasma energy streaked across the void. They hit the Resilience with brutal force. The ship shuddered under the impacts. Red alerts screamed through the bridge. "Shields at 70%, an officer yelled. "They are targeting our engines." The Xylos ship did not fire back. It simply moved with impossible grace. It placed its vast hull between you and the attackers. It became a massive shield of black crystal. Its hull absorbed the plasma shots without a visible scratch. But it could not protect the Resilience forever. It was a protector, not a warship. The betrayal was here, in the cold dark near the King of Planets. Quaritch wanted a weapon. The Xylos wanted a savior. And you were trapped in the middle. The stars in your eyes pulsed with fear. And for the first time, with a flicker of anger. The fight for your future had just begun.